All right, everybody, welcome back. This is part 2 of our Temtem Patch 1.3 tier list. You're hearing the voice of me, Spinal, and ZV, Bernie. You want to sound off?
Yeah, hello everyone. Hope you're doing well.
and we are going to continue on with our tier list, and we're hitting next up is the water temps.
Let's get started then.
All right. The top is so crazy, actually. Okay. Actually, this is a stacked ass.
Yeah, like who knew water was good, huh?
Water's always been good. It's just always there. It's just always good. Piranhant, however, not good.
Not that one.
Not this
You
one.
just
Just don't
picked
play with him.
the only water that is bad.
Literally, don't play with him. He's not.
Yeah. Only for stall teams,
Only for stall
and
teams, and
and
even
even
then,
then it's
no.
like a bit sus sometimes.
It just doesn't. It doesn't do what you want. It doesn't have the stats to do what it wants to do. It doesn't have the moves. Trade is awkward. It's just nothing. It's just that attempt needs a rework. It's
Right.
not.
Yeah, agree.
What about Babua? We had our Babua moment this patch. How do you feel about
Yes.
Babua?
I think Babua is like powerful. However, there are a lot of toxics in this meta, and that's the one thing that Babua doesn't like. So I think that brings it like in a solid B tier.
I agree.
What's your opinion?
I agree. I think Toxic is the strongest type this patch. Maybe we'll do a tier list of types. Um, just to give you a general idea of what types are the strongest. I think Toxic is just really strong because there's just a lot of really strong Tems that lose to Toxics. Babua isn't so extreme. It's not like Tyrannak, who's extremely powerful and only has one weakness to Toxic. Babua is less powerful than Tyrannak, and it's more hard countered by Toxic. So, yeah, I'll put him
Right.
somewhere in B tier,
But
maybe even
Babua
C.
also gives you like the option. Like it's a very good anti DG aggro tem, for example.
Sure, but no, because what Digi doesn't run with freaking Zaobian, and then you have Zaobian, like, you could easily throw in, like, a Toxic Temd if you go physical. Like, it's fine. It's whatever. These weaknesses is too big, and he's not. This isn't his meta. In a different meta, maybe. In today's meta, no.
Okay.
Okay. What about Ukama and Osiara, the Mario and Luigi of the.
I mean, these tabs have always been good, and guess what? They're good. So they still do what they did in the past, which is like snipe weak tems.
Yes,
Um, they're a bit different. Like OCR is more like spread focused, while Ukama is more single target focused. But
definitely.
they're both good at what they do.
They were both good, and then OCR Waterblade got 3 prio, so OCR is like the fastest time of the game, and it has a 3 prio starting on turn 1, which just completely murders anything that is quadruple weak to water, like Hedgine,
Right.
Drakash, etc. ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
Volcran.
Meanwhile, Ukama has the water cannon, which is very powerful with toxics, and the aquatic whirlwind, which is like the nuke button for waters.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
just the
think
nuclear
both are
button.
fair, both are very good. It just depends on the team that you're using them.
They're both great. They've got great stat lines. If you're playing an
Exactly.
aggressive team, you're not going wrong if you're throwing these guys in. I think they're like classic middle of the road S tier temps.
Yep, that sounds fair.
Okay, what about no, these two need to be separate. Let's do Saipat and Mastion. Let's start. Well, how do you feel about Mastion? What makes him strong?
I think that water and fire is a very powerful combination. Um,
I think it's very awkward.
Bastion did it's awkward. I don't know. It gives him like a lot of staying power against a lot of tems, but it still suffers from its early weaknesses. Like it's not fast enough, and now it has like a toxic weakness.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's a bit awkward for sure as a
Yeah, it's
Tem.
a bit awkward. It feels good offensively. He's got three prio moves of both flavors with the right synergies with Lava Wave and Water Blade.
Yeah, but
But
its
he's
speed
just
stat is not up to the
his
task.
speed is low on purpose because he's got good moves. But it just feels a bit awkward. He honestly needs to be faster for what his typing is. But if he was faster, he would
Mm-hmm.
just be broken.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he's balanced by his medium to low
Yeah, but
speed.
I still think it's like a top B tier because with all the DGs going around, he's like a very good option. And
Um,
also, like it's good like, into like a lot of top tier Tems, you know,
like what?
like Valash, Turok, Tulkan.
Yes, because we
So
haven't gotten to the
I
toxics yet. I agree, though. I agree.
no, I think it's top tier though. Like it's definitely better than it's ever been.
I agree with that. Absolutely. He's been kind of disappointing to me, but maybe that's because he's been hanging around his neighbor Babua, and he needs to just strike out on his own and live his own life.
Yeah,
Be-
he needs to like
because
uh abandon his friend and fly free.
yeah, because when Babua is around, like he brings around all those nasty toxic enemies, and those people
Yep.
also beat up a Mastion. So he needs to just
Mm-hmm.
stay away from his Babua friend. Even though these two work well together, they
Uh,
just bring the worst out of each other. Also,
yeah, but it's still like good offense while also being a good uh digital insurance. So I like that of him.
he's decent. I think he's weaker than Tukai. Honestly, I'm not big on this
Okay,
Tem.
I get that.
I just feel like
All
his
right.
stats is just awkward. You don't know, like you don't want him to be slow, but it's just awkward. I don't know how to explain it. Psypat.
Well, this stem got a lot of buffs and it was very hyped, and it turns out it's mid at best.
Yes.
Like I don't think it's that good anyway. Like it still has 47 weaknesses. It's
Yes.
still not that bulky. It's still not that fast.
He's actually surprisingly
But
bulky.
hey, it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
It's
So
better than
there's that
Mastion.
because
It's definitely better than Mastion,
mm, it's
without a
same
doubt.
power level. You can put it
No,
higher.
no, dude. With
Like
Schween's
it's
horn,
better than it has ever been. So
if
at
you
least there's that.
if you take Schween's horn on Psypat, he's rocking a 120 BP turn one water move with two prio. One like what's Nicho Sai like 120, 150?
134, I think.
Let's see.
Be wrong.
Nicho Sai, his signature move is 135, three prio,
Oh, almost.
melee move. Like these are good moves. His traits are both valuable
Yeah,
in their
they
own
are, but
ways.
they're tied to like an awkward typing. But yeah, like
But
I agree. Like Saipat is not terrible.
he does have five weaknesses. Excuse me. He does have five
Yeah,
weaknesses.
which
Um
is like top weakness chart.
yeah, that's like
I
a
think
lot. That's a lot.
it is a lot. Like if you say five, it's like maybe it's not that bad. No, it is bad.
How many of these stems have five weaknesses?
Yeah,
Like
like if you start counting, like
Size
you'll
Munch maybe?
realize.
Size Munch has four. Like, is there any other one that has five weaknesses? I bet Mastion
I
probably
don't
has
know.
five.
No, Bastion,
Mastion has
no, no,
two.
no. Uh,
Um yeah, he's he's
He is weak.
he
He is
is
weak.
a he's not here for a good time. He's not here for a long time. He's here for a good time. And
Yep.
he can have a
Okay.
really good time with the amphibian trait. If you ever swap him into an Osiara, it's so bad for your opponent. Um he's very he's like a samurai sword, very fragile, very damaging.
Mm.
Yasuo type Tem. He's got a cute face.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's fine. Like I wouldn't say it's bad,
I
but
think
I
it's
wouldn't put it. No, no.
nah, nah.
I agree with this.
I think he's stronger than Tukai for sure. I think he's stronger than Tutsu. I'm putting him here. I think he's that strong.
It's not stronger than Grandpa, but
It,
whatever.
you don't think so? Maybe not.
No.
Maybe you're right.
No, Grandpa is good.
Maybe I've just had some freak show horrible matches against this Tem. He has a place. This Tem is very powerful. He just needs he requires a delicate control. He's
Yep.
he's surprisingly elegant for a duck.
For a duck. Yep.
Speaking of ducks, Platymus. I
Okay,
feel like
this
he
Tem
has.
did get nerfs.
It did get nerfs. It lost Water Blade, got its speed back. It has Toxin Shower. It has a very good typing. Water Toxic is actually a very good typing. Just because Toxic is like, in terms of like defensiveness, like Toxic has just got so many resistances for almost, you pay for one weakness, you get like 3 resistances. Right. The resistances cover for Platymus's weaknesses as a Water Tem.
Yeah. Yeah, Water Toxic is very good because having a water that wins against other waters,
that too,
is
it
like
murders waters.
such a very powerful thing to have.
Yeah, because a lot of
so yeah, it's not as good as it was before, but I still think it's good. So I'd put it in S, but below Bulfy.
Okay.
What do you think?
Okay.
Like, it's not as good in my opinion to like the other water.
Do you think he's stronger than Acronox?
Because it doesn't have water.
Yeah, I think
no,
so.
I said S tier.
Yeah. I'm gonna put him top of A.
Okay.
This is all kind of similar. We might have to iron this out later at the end. Whatever. But let's leave him there. He's very powerful. Very good typing. Kind of awkward stats. You have to choose, like, you can go full bulk, or you can go full speed, or you can do some other things. Very hard to use, I would say. But very powerful.
Yeah.
Nagais, the terror of the high seas. They told us they were gonna nerf Nagais. They took off Madness buff, but then they changed the trait.
It was a lie.
The hell
like,
out of the trait.
Madness buff Nagais was like such a hit or miss strategy. Like, the power of Nagais was never Madness buff, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe I was sleeping. Maybe it was like secret OP and we never abused it. But I was never excited. And even if it was good, it's only good on Water Custodian, which doesn't see very much play.
No, Disidora got a nice buff.
It got giga buff.
The thing is, it's not very easy to use. So by this tier list standard, I would like put it in bottom S. But this Tem is very, very powerful.
Yeah, it's extremely powerful. It inverts speed tiers, so it inverts speed stats. So whoever's going first goes last, and whoever's going last goes first. He can just one-shot. So normally with a team built around this Tem, like, you just one-shotting people before, even like Tems that are supposed to counter you, you just one-shot them with a double up with one prior moves like Stone Ball.
With like Zizé or Turok. Yeah. Stone Ball users are very good.
Stone Ball, you've got Head Ram, you've got a bunch of different Rotten Goo, even Electro Punch.
Yeah, this new trait, like, it's giving it like a second life.
Oh honestly. Yeah, this Disidora is just insane. We're putting it at the bottom of S tier because
yeah, it's very tricky to use. Like, you have to be precise with it. But the effect, like, in terms of RAV power, I'd say it's extremely good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an absolute must ban for some teams. Like, there's nothing that they can do against it.
Yep. Like DG Aggro, for example, or any hyper-aggressive team will just
any hyper-aggressive team that can't survive a double, they'll just die. Yeah. If you're playing a slow Tem, you're playing this team. If you're playing a slow team, you're playing that Tem. Okay, Schween. How do you feel about Schween? They did nerf him a little bit. Got a little nerf to Fluid Barrier.
Really? What was the nerf?
It went from like 4 turns of immunity to 3, or from 3 to 2, something like that.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, that's whatever. In my book, that's
It's probably an
Yeah.
appropriate nerf. It was just so much excess power there. It doesn't really matter too much. Um, I think people are sleeping on this 10. I honestly God think people are sleeping on this 10. His stats are not the worst.
No, they're bad. It's just an offensive team that wants to play support, so you're stuck in the middle.
He has 90 base stamina, insane. 81 speed,
Yes.
good. 72
Mm-hmm.
special attack, which is actually average.
Yeah,
Okay,
but you don't want to attack with this team. That's a problem. It has like 43 defense, no?
it has 49 defense and 60 special defense and 43
Yeah.
base HP. My
Yeah,
goodness.
exactly. Yeah, like that's the thing. I still think it's a good team. It's just a very dedicated team. Like you play this install, you play this in like
Combo.
rage comms.
Yeah, if you want to use rage. I think he's being slept
Other than
on.
that, it's not good. Like it's not a team that you'll splash like ever.
You don't bring him except if you need this exact typing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it is a
So that
valuable typing. There's less helicopter kicks with Guy Allison losing it. Um, I'm telling you, this Tem can be a nuker, but that's a highly specialized thing. That's like something I'm cooking on. I think for
Yeah, no,
the
no, no, no.
average general
In the right
user,
them, it can be very good, but it's like hard to use. Uh,
yeah,
it's hard to fit in your team. Like you only want chewing if you're like cooking something extra spicy.
yes,
So I put it in like bottom C to be honest.
yeah, just
Like
don't play with
below
him.
Caesar.
This is like a specialty Tem. He's not generally powerful, even though he has a lot of power.
Exactly.
His
Yeah.
power is very.
I mean, we're not putting in the trash list because he's actually useful,
Yes, he's
but like you need a lot of team building power and piloting for it to like really shine.
you need a lot of team building power and what? Hello, ZV.
Hey, are you there?
Yeah,
Did I lose you? I
yeah,
think I lost you.
yeah, a little bit. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, while he is figuring out that, let me make sure it's nothing on my side. No, we should be good. I wonder if we could just cut this. Hmm. Okay, while ZV's there, we put Shreen down here. I'm just gonna restart the call. Maybe that will help. Hello, ring ring.
Hey,
Okay, you're back.
no, you are back, but whatever.
Okay, sure. I'm back. You're back. We're back. Let's move on to Nesla.
Alright.
It's got a actually pretty interesting typing. Being immune to electricity with its electric synthesizer makes it a very powerful pivot. Um, he's got aquatic whirlwind and water blade. Is he the only Tem that has both of those? Yeah,
I think it is, yes.
he's the only Tem that has both of those, which means he can operate at extremely fast speeds, even though his base speed is not that high. Um, he actually can be played as a physical, but most of the time you're going to be playing him as a special attacker. And he's just a good Tem. He
Yeah.
uniquely can fight against both Tulkin and Turok, which you often see together. He can fight against both of those Tems perfectly because he resists. He resists. He doesn't resist rock, but he resists fire and flying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he hits rocks and fires really hard. He's just a.
Yeah, I think Nestle is very good right now.
I think it's very good.
Like it was very decent before, but with
Mm-hmm.
the rise of digitals, it's like Gary, right? I don't think Gary is that good by itself, but it's like so good into digitals that it's like it gives you a layer of assurance against
Mm-hmm.
those types, while also being useful against a lot of things. So I think Nestle is very good. Like,
I think he's very good too.
it's a must ban against digital while also being good against standard opponents. So
Yeah, I think he's kind of is like next to these guys who have like
yeah.
these like I almost want to call them like the god typers. They've got really good typings.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I like it. I like it.
it's grass rock, water electric. They're all like really powerful typings. They've got good moves to back them up. They're kind of
Yep.
similar-ish in their like off meta typing. They're just very powerful. Okay, and that's water. Let's keep chugging along here. Everybody's favorite fire tem. We're going to fire tems now. Magmut.
Mhm.
ZV. You want to sound off?
Come on.
Fizz gulp.
No,
Spread gulp.
just put it in F tier and let's go next.
He doesn't believe in this tem.
No,
I
I
don't.
don't.
I'm not gonna waste my. I'm not gonna waste my. It's
My
it's.
stamina. Yeah,
Oh,
save your
trying to fight
stamina.
for
Just
him.
rest.
It's not worth
Rest for
it.
the next fight.
It's not worth it. Let's do Kapire and his brother, or Raiken and his little brother Kapire. Um, Raiken is the bulkier. He's the bulkier, meatier, um, more value oriented Tem, where Kapire is like
Mhm.
very fast. It's actually frighteningly fast. It's like new to the block because they just buffed his speed, and he's like top 10 now.
Yes.
And Kapire has last rush, which lets you just surprise one shot somebody because they'll never expect it coming. And where Raiken has like prideful, which lets him just kill things and keep going and get stronger
Yep.
every time he kills something. Gets a lot stronger. Um, that said, uh, I think Kapire is like better now, but he's a monotype aggressive Tem. They're both monotype aggressive Tems, which is kind of Pepega.
Yep.
Um,
They're very similar. As you said, like the difference is Raikkonen has a bit more of better stats, and then Kappa has the option to like hit up and he's faster and has less rush. So in terms of usage, I think Raikkonen is better because you have a lot more agency on how you use it. Um, like Kappa, if you're not behind, you don't have less rush. It's not as good,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's not like you can say, "Oh, I'm gonna let like my Thames die so that they can like rush rush," right? Like that's
Right.
so stupid.
Yeah. I agree with that. His power is wildly different when you're ahead versus when you're behind.
Exactly.
Um,
I mean, well, yeah, prideful is like you cannot always set up for it, but you don't need that. Like you just be there, have good overall stats because Raken has very good base stats. And if you can set up a prideful, that's like a super bonus. And if you don't, it's still like a useful time, you know?
yeah, and it's still threatening to get prideful, which will make your opponent do crazy things,
Exactly.
like
Yes.
swap out Tems if they're gonna die, even though they shouldn't be swapping. Um, it puts pressure on your opponent even if it never procs.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I
Yeah,
can't let it get
exactly.
prideful. Um, I would say in general, monotyped aggressive Tems are kind of Pepega. Fire especially because fire has so many things that can just completely stonewall it. Um, and the same way like Zizar suffers being a monotype aggressive Tem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whereas these guys do not. The water boys don't really care that much. But in the same way that because fire as a type actually doesn't have that many things it's good against, but it has a lot of things that stonewall it. Um, Raiken is the better model. That said, if you're
Yeah,
playing,
yeah,
that said, if you're like in general, Raiken is better, but neither of them are like super great.
agree. Yeah, absolutely. They both meet, like as you said, they just get walled too many times, so they really need good positioning
you have to
for
draft
them to like
well.
shine.
You need a good
Yes.
team that uses them. It's complicated. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's complicated, and I think in general Riken has more raw power. So.
Yeah, because it's more bulky
Mm-hmm.
and it's not as reliant in its trait as Caballo is.
And also, I just want to say, like, in terms of fire as a type, it is resistant to more things than it is weak to. It has 3 resistances and it has 2 weaknesses. But on the flip side, it has how many things does it hit super effectively? It hits crystals, natures.
Nature.
That's it. And so it's not that great of an aggressive typing. It's actually better as a defensive typing, if that makes any sense. Um, and because
Absolutely.
Riken is bulkier, he can kind of serve as your pivot on an aggressive team. Um, but that's just the foibles of fire itself as a typing. Anyways,
Yep.
let's keep moving on. We've got Aoki here,
Okay.
everybody's favorite fire
I
mental.
really like Auhi. I like it, but it's such a tricky them to use.
I
Like its base stats are very
very
bad.
bad, very
It
bad.
has like 30,000 weaknesses.
Um, I'd like to fact check that, sir.
Okay, yeah,
Wolfie,
check that.
excuse,
How
Aoki.
many weaknesses does it have?
Okay, it does have 4. It does have 4. It doesn't get to the magical 5 that Saipat
Okay,
has.
yeah, the magical 5
The
that is
magical 5.
terrible.
I
So
will
yeah,
say
40s.
the typing, it means he's one of the few psychics that doesn't get exploded by crystals. He can actually
Yeah.
win against crystals, which is weird for a mental.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like the only mental that can really say that. Um, his strength is his typing. It's like a god. It sounds strange, but it's a very powerful typing. Not unlike these guys up here, Nesla, Volfi. He's very similar to these 3, Nesla, Volfi, Garia, but it's just his base stats are so low, and mental as a type is just weaker than. It's just a weak type, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's like
so
a weak type, like to balance the fact that it's the type that had access to sleep and also is
mm-hmm.
immune to it.
It has access to sleep. It's immune to sleep. So I think A is too high for this guy. I think he's down here
Yeah,
in
I'd
B,
put it in like
maybe even
B
C.
because it's very hard to
It's
use.
very hard to use. Don't.
Uh, yeah,
I
yeah.
think
C's
he's.
a right spot. Like,
He's.
don't try to use the fox unless you know what you're doing. Like, it can be very powerful.
It.
Like a lot of C tier tems, like have the potential to be very good, but it's hard to use. They need a dedicated team.
You're basically only gonna play that time if you're playing a mental team, and you need a
Exactly,
mental
like a
that.
sleep,
Yeah.
either a sleep team or like a doom stall team, and
Probably not.
you need to be good with those teams. You need to
Yeah.
be to know exactly what you're doing. Just don't splash this into
Yeah.
anything.
You don't throw it into a regular comp. He's very specific.
Exactly.
He's very specific.
To be fair, you can use it in like hyper aggressive Quetzalenios teams, but again, it's like very specific.
Okay, speaking of very specific Thames, let's go over the biggest, baddest Koopa Troopa
Oh
Thames.
no.
We've got Anatan and Scaravolt. All right, you want to just throw them in the trash
Okay.
right now?
Two terrible teams. Yeah.
They've both shared.
Okay, to
Okay,
be fair,
go
I'd
ahead.
say Scaravolt may be like bottom C
I can agree with that.
because it actually leaves sometimes and has like very good offensive pressure,
It has good offensive
but like
pressure.
it's bad.
Good friend is actually a nice trait, but it has a 4 times weakness to rock.
Yeah, like it's bad. Like it's
It's
either bottom C or F. Like whatever you
it's
feel, man.
yeah, and Anatan is similar, and
Another is F for sure.
they're just I don't know. They're not meant for this world. They're just
No, they're not.
incredibly specific. Just don't play with him. Just don't. Don't do it. If you have a problem and you think
Yeah.
Scaravolt fixes it, there's
The
probably a
answer
better
is
solution.
probably you're wrong.
The answer is you probably have the wrong
Exactly,
problem.
yes.
You're probably thinking of the wrong problem. Okay, what do how you feel about Hazrat? He's a fire that isn't weak to water.
Mm-hmm.
He,
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Hazrat these days.
Hazrat is like the classic counter to Tyrannak because Tyrannak can't hurt Hazrat and Hazrat will obliterate Tyrannak.
Mm-hmm. And Tyrannak is everywhere as well.
Right.
I
And
like Tyrannak. I just think that like it can get exploited with
yes.
like neutral tems, and not only neutral, like any neutral attack, like for example, um, it doesn't really take neutral attacks as often, but it has low bulk
Mm-hmm.
for what it brings. However, it does threaten a lot of interesting tems. So
I will say that I agree with everything you say. He's awkward because he doesn't have three prio moves. He has Lava Wave, which can be three prio with synergy, but then he doesn't have a three
mm-hmm.
prio toxic move, and he doesn't have the bulk to
Right,
survive
it's
getting
like
a
a
double. Like he always dies on the
exactly,
third
yeah,
hit,
yeah.
so
It needs a water alley in
mm-hmm.
order to like be effective, because offensive teams that don't have prio are not good, and Hazrat is no exception. Like it's an aggressive tem, but it can be very good in like DG aggro curse or like some water spam curse. So I'd say I'd put it bottom B, to be fair. I'd put it higher than
I think
um
he's better than Aohi, but he's very similar. Better than Aohi, but very similar.
okay, yeah, that's fair. I'm thinking it's better than Bull Crane, but whatever.
That's fine. Tyrannak, just put him up here.
Yeah.
Just put him
Now
up here.
I'd put it lower than these two, but I'd still
I
put
agree
it.
too. He's
It's
he got nerfed a little bit, lost some base stats a little bit. He
yeah, quote
lost
unquote nerf.
he
Whatever.
lost some
It's
turns
still
off of his
there.
trait, but
Yeah,
it's
it's
still
still gonna
good.
sit in the battlefield. It's still gonna take everything.
If he gets a turn 3, you got problems because Overgrowth sucks all your stamina and it roots you and it's an 80 BP nuke and it hits both sides.
Yeah.
Um, he's got great moves. He, you many teams start off. You just throw Tyrannak and Nagais and you start building from there.
Yeah, I agree. Like I'd say that on a higher level, he's not as good, but based on these tile list evaluation, I'd say it's S plus for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're new to the game, you don't know what to play. Start with the team of
Yeah,
Tyrannak.
you cannot go wrong with
You can't
Tyrannak.
go
Yeah.
wrong. You literally can't go wrong. Throw Tiernak. His best friend is Two Rock. He plays extremely
Yes.
well with Two Rock. Two
Yeah.
Rock covers for
They're
his
they're best buddies.
weaknesses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
They
are.
synergize together like Rockfall synergy. Um, and maybe that'll
Stone
be a
Ball.
that'll be a team we publish later as like a basic Tiernak Two Rock team. But he's just very good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You cannot go wrong with these two. Like they're
You
best buddies.
yeah.
They're both very strong,
They're both very
and they
strong.
cover for each other very, very well.
Basically, any team you play has to have a way to. You're either playing these guys or you have a plan to play against them. It's that simple.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, and then the last two, the Hellfire Brothers, the Brothers from Hell. We've got. Let's start with Drakash, the Fire Rock creature.
The
Um,
Bat Brother.
he's got an interesting typing. He has a turn one rock move, but it's like not the best.
Yeah,
If he,
like Mood Shower is not a good move.
it's not
And
Soil Steam.
Fighty Soul is like Fighty Soul would be very good if it's like your secondary fire move. Because at the end of the day, it's only 70 base power,
Right,
right?
right,
Like, yes, it has priority. Yes, it burns. But it doesn't deal the damage that you want it to deal. You know?
right, right. Um, that said, his stats are a little papega. They're not the best stats, but he still feels like a powerful Tem. It's just a little bit understated. So He's only going to really flourish in situations where he has a big type advantage. And also,
Exactly.
he's extremely weak to water. Do not get any water on him. Do not get any water on either of these guys, as they both take quadruple damage to water. Um, do I want a new player playing with Drakash? Only in a Hellfire comp. If you have a problem and you think Drakash solves it, you're probably looking at the problem wrong. We're just going to put him here. A lot of successful teams use him because he's got Hellfire and he's another Hellfire Tem.
Yeah, but it's hard to use.
But it's hard to
The
use.
thing is, like, its Sentinel trait got buffed. Like, not the trait, but with all the mentals going around, Sentinel
Absolutely.
got a bit better. But yeah, it's like it's a specific tem. It requires positioning in order to be good. So I like the placement. I like the placement.
Yeah. This is the better Hellfire brother, Hedgine. Uh, Hedgine is.
Hedgine has always been good.
It's always been good. He got a stamina buff, which is not irrelevant for him.
Yeah, like
He desperately needs all the
it's not
stamina he can
irrelevant.
get.
I just find it very funny because it's like Hedgine was already good, and then someone decided that they needed like a
Like 2 stamina.
stamina buff, which is like whatever.
It's good. It's
I
good.
just think it's funny. Like
It is funny.
it was good. It got a pretty much irrelevant buff, but whatever. Like
yeah,
it's just funny to
it's
mention.
not
Like
the most relevant buff, but the big buff he got was Binary Flood. Now does
yes,
more damage
absolutely.
and it seizes, which means it turns off anybody's items.
Binary Flood is one of the strongest moves right now.
It's the truth. It only costs like 21 stamina or something like that. What does it cost?
It's incredible. That move is way too good.
It costs 28. I feel like it costs less. Is that 60 BP?
28?
Is this right? Wait.
No, it has 75. It's 75. Like Temtem is bugged.
Yeah, okay.
It's 75 base power.
Yeah. It got upgraded from 60 to 75 base power Binary Flood. 75 base power, AoE, digital, so it's never resisted. It also seizes items. Binary Flood's insane.
And it seizes. Like, it's so good.
It's so good. It's such a good ability.
It is.
Nobody does
and
it.
Hedgine was already
than
very
Hedgine.
good before. Like,
yes.
Yeah, it doesn't fit every team because you just want to play it in like aggressive cores, but it's so good there because it gets priority in all of its moves.
Yeah.
Like that's so invaluable.
So Binary Flood went to an S tier move. Hedgine plays Binary Flood better than any other Tem in the game because he can turn into a 3 prio move.
Mm-hmm.
He was already good.
Yeah. It has 3 prio.
Like it's just
it's insane. I
it's
think
insane.
it's S tier material.
I think it's definitely S tier.
For
sure. I think it passes the Ukama threshold of good Temps.
Mostly because those mono waters can get walled easily. Meanwhile, nothing walls Hedgine.
No, nothing walls Hedgine. They can only
because
threaten
it
to
has
one-shot him.
digital like binary flood. Nothing can swap into that.
Although I will say one particular weakness of Hedgine
I think it's very good.
is Osiara, who can outspeed Hedgine and just obliterate him with a water blade. Turn 1. But other than that, mostly you're going to be fine to what is the move called? You're going to be fine to generify if somebody's threatening to like one-shot you, you'll generify and it'll take like 2 or 3 hits to kill you, which is a huge difference. And then you can binary
we're
flood.
both using generify Hedgine, and I've played my last games into Legend with it, and it's just so good. Like you can just generify, and even if you don't get attacked, which you will get attacked, but let's put this scenario that you don't get attacked, it means that your Hedgine gets to like click moves, and that's never good for the opponent. That's always bad moves because Binary Flood and Hellfire are just such good moves to click.
I think Generify is actually just completely busted if you have synergy. I think it either needs to go
and the 3 prio. Like the thing is that with Hedgine it gets 3 prio, right?
Yes.
Because if you use it in another tem, it's like normal priority, so you get water bladed before and you die. But like
But not
Hedgine
Hedgine.
ability is just too busted. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just too good.
I honestly think Generify probably needs to be nerfed. Um,
I think it's just a bit gimmicky, so I think it might be fine, you know.
I think it's actually busted. I don't think it should give you 2 turns of bamboozle. Either it needs to only give you 1 turn of bamboozle, or it needs to have 1 hold, which would make it a lot worse. Um, but
Okay.
that's another
Yeah,
story for
I could
another
see
time.
that. I could see that.
I think Generify is actually just completely busted, and Binary Flood's completely busted.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say Hedgine is one of the most oppressive thems. So that
No,
like
I
that's
mean,
like a an argument against nerfing it. But yeah, it Generify on Hedgine definitely feels very powerful
but like,
if you have the synergy, of
look at
course.
this Tem. He has like Hellfire's S tier move, Fire Tornado's S tier move, Harm for
Yes.
Microwave's S tier move. Even Plasma Beam on Behedjin is really, really, really good. This Tem has got everything. He's just great. You only can play him in aggressive compositions, and you probably want to play him with neutrals. But if you can fulfill those 2 things, and he can, there's some other neutrals here that also want those same things. If you can fulfill
Mm-hmm.
those things, he's really, really great. Just really great.
Exactly. And it's very easy to use. Just click moves and you'll be fine.
Yeah, you just click moves, Hellfire, Binary Flood. Just close your eyes. Whatever it hits is great.
Yeah.
Like
Close your
literally,
eyes and click Binary Flood.
just
You cannot be wrong. Like it's gonna deal a lot of damage to both thems.
the only way you could be wrong is if there's you could get more damage out of Hellfire. Like it's never, it's crazy. Um, but yeah, I think Hedgen is good right there. All right. We've got 4.5
It's
types
very good. It's very
left.
good. Yeah.
I think this is a good place to take a break. So we're gonna stop here, and this will be the end of volume 2. And we'll see you guys on the third part of our tier list.